Hey everybody, this is Bill McCabe, and welcome back. Hey, I was looking at some old videos that we had posted, and one of the videos was on the basic Arnis stick form. And after looking at it, I wasn't satisfied that you could really get a good grasp of what was going on there. So I'm going to revisit that entire presentation and give you a bit more detail to digest. Okay, so here's the premise. This is very basic stuff, and if you could excuse me for 1 second here, I had a little spur in my heel. This is very basic stuff, and we've been doing some advanced things, and what I want to do is revisit some of the basics because some of the folks have emailed me and requested that. When you start out with the middle stick with Arnis, in the old days you would learn the 12 basic blocks, then you would learn the 12 basic counter strikes, and then after you had some degree of facility with the 12 basic blocks and the 12 basic counter strikes, you would integrate them so that you're blocking and counter strike, and then after that, so that you're blocking and counter striking, and then after that you would begin to integrate those activities with your body position and your footwork. So way back in the 70s, Jay Kuibroka, the late master of combat Arnis, who was also a Shotokan master, began to use the Takyoko forms of Shotokan as models for integrating the basic Arnis movements into a flow at a basic level. So that's what this is all about. Now, before we start with the form, which is called Anyo Uno, Anyo number 1, we're going to just revisit briefly with the 12 blocks and the 12 strikes. There's also other videos on those activities, so you can review the other videos too for more detail. Okay, so I have the camera person step here. The 12 blocks, first block against an attack coming from your left side. And this is somebody striking to your shoulder joint, not quite to your head level. And you see what you do when you block is you use a stick like a wall, and you're hiding behind the wall. Okay? And if you look at the position of my feet, you can see how that reinforces it. Second block is opposite side. Third block is against, and we're not going to go over these in great detail, they're covered elsewhere. We're just sort of revisiting to refresh your memory. Third block is a strike to your pelvis, and this block is a little bit tricky for some folks until you get it. Fourth block, pelvis other side, cut across and block. Fifth block is a chicken wing block, and it's to address things that are coming straight in. And a chicken wing block looks like this. This also combines with the cobra concept, because as you see the chicken wing block unfolds, and then you have a trap or a capture which emerges from behind it. In Tai Chi, this would be called seal tightly. The number 6 strike is the head strike coming from this side, so you block higher. This is very similar to the number 2 block, except it's a tad higher. Now the head strike can also be, I'm going to model this for you, so just stay right where you're at. This would be the head strike that you're blocking right now, but some people have modified it so that they're blocking a strike that's coming in like this. Same block will work. Number 7 is blocking a head strike opposite side. Now the same thing applies here. Number 7 can be a strike that looks like this, or it can be a strike that looks like this. Same deal. Okay. Number 8 is a low down block, and some people like to go to their knee. I generally like to go into a low crouch position, which allows me mobility. Okay. Number 9 is a low block protecting your right knee. Number 10 is an actual eye strike, and it will look something like this coming in. And the block on number 10 is You're sort of gliding across it and capturing it. So as it comes in, you capture and capture the stick. Now, point the camera at my feet for a second. As you do number 10, it's almost like you're skateboarding. It's like you're stepping onto a skateboard here. We call this a modified cobra position. Okay, but it's a very relaxed position, and you actually go sideways to avoid the power of the thrust and to capture the thrust. Number 11 would look like this coming in. I strike from the other side, and it's the same type of block, except, again, on my feet, if you will, it's like I'm on a skateboard on the opposite side. So number 11 looks like this, around, capture. Number 12 is blocking against the overhead strike, block. If you look at my hands, see, you're not blocking like this, of course, and you're not blocking like this, where your hands are going to get struck by the attack. See, it's almost like I'm feeding a horse, and that's actually how it's described when you learn this. It's like you're feeding a horse, and your hand is always underneath the incoming strike, or behind the incoming strike. So those are 12 basic blocks. Now I'm going to tell you right now that these blocks aren't the end all. If you looked at my other videos, you'll see that I have a diverse array of blocks that are much more economical, much quicker, much more efficient. That comes over time. You practice, you become more efficient, more skilled, your thinking becomes quicker, you become more fluid, and everything becomes very quick and very concise. These are your baby steps. You know, when you first start out, this is what you have to do before you can cross the bridge and get to the good stuff. Okay, there's no shortcut. Now, having said that, each of these blocks has an associated counter. And what you want to do is have an idea what to do after the block so that you can establish your counter. And this will tie into the kata in just a few seconds. So for example, on number 1, if the strike's coming in from the side, I block. Right here, there's an X with the incoming stick. My hand goes immediately to the stick and captures. So I'm holding the stick and countering, generally to the head. Now as a block, if you watch how I counter, see I whip my stick around for power. Block, whip. Number 2, and by the way, you can capture the hand. You can pull the stick out and disarm. There's all kinds of reactions that you can incorporate here, and there are other videos where we talk about that. Again, we just want to keep it basic. Number 2, here. And he's attacking across, I'm blocking, and his stick's in his right hand. I can capture and down his stick and hit him. So I'm here, hitting, here, hitting, here for power, here for power. I can also parry his hand. Parry means drive it away from me, break his balance. So I'm here, and I strike it, swing his arm over. As his head tilts, I strike. Number 3, I block and parry. Block and parry, or block and grab. You see what I do to augment the power of my counter? I take position, I drive through. Number 4, block and parry. I like to parry on 4. Number 2, you can grab and down the person and bring him in. Number 4, I like to parry just because it's a low strike and I have a better shot at parrying. Number 5, you block and capture. Block and capture, and the person's right in front of you. Capture, strike. Capture, strike, or capture, strike. Or capture, poke. Okay? Number 6 is just like number 2. Okay? Except that the downing move works better on number 6 because you're starting from a higher position. And parry or down. Number 7, block, capture. Again, you see what I do to augment the power. I bring it across and whip. Turn with my body. You practice it when you have a chance. Number 8 is the low move. And this could be against a low strike. Some people use it against kicks, like side kicks and front kicks, things like that. It's actually not bad for that because you make contact with the bone or joint. So you hit, parry. Here you need a leg strength, of course. And then the high, strike, and the counter. And what you do is you're blocking low and you're countering high, and then you're crossing into the person immediately after that. So you want to have that little sequence beginning to emerge in your mind, and that's built into the kata. Number 9 is the low strike opposite side. Low block opposite side. Very similar to number 4, except that it's lower. Here parry is even more important, and the strike is a higher strike. Number 10, we talked about the skateboard. I capture. Now his stick is coming in toward my eyes, so I'm capturing it. And right here I capture his stick and bring it down. And there's my counter. And again, this is presented in more detail in other videos. We're just, again, recounting what we've done before so that this ties efficiently into the kata, which we're going to discuss. Again, you ride the stick, capture it, bring it down, and counter. Number 11 is basically the same thing, opposite side. Ride the stick, capture it, bring it down, counter. Now when you count, you're actually guiding the person into the counter strike when you do this. Number 12 is a little bit more complicated. You block, butt end against the wrist joint, or against, I like to use the snuff box. The snuff box is right here, that little nerve nexus there. Strike it, and by the way, as you're here, when the hand goes down, you capture the stick. Strike the point, bring it back, and then finishing strike. Okay, so now you've got the essentials. We're going to take a look at Anyo Uno. And I'm going to have the camera person step over here just at a slight angle. And Anyo Uno is based on the Takyoko series of Shotokan, which follows what I would describe to be an H footprint. Now some people call it a capital I footprint or a girder, like a steel girder. Doesn't matter. Just visualize that as an H if you want to follow me or come up with your own visualization. But the H will lay out like this. Here's one side of the H, and here's the other side of the H. Okay? And here's the middle of the H. And then the starting point is where the middle connects with one side. Now the premise of the kata is on both sides there's a wall. So there's nothing that's able to come at you from where the wall is at. It's dead space. So when you stand here, and bring the camera a little bit closer if you will. When you stand here, you want to have total awareness of everything that exists on the floor of play, which is where attacks can come from. You do not need to pay any attention to the wall behind you or the wall on the far side of you, in the sense that no attacks are going to come at you from those walls. You can pay attention to the walls in ways that may be important to you as far as positioning and using them as striking surfaces or bumping surfaces in which to maneuver your opponent. But that's part of the interplay that goes on in your mind as you do the form. So the form itself, if I walk through it, the sequence would go something like this. First attack is to the left. You face left, you respond. Second attack comes from your right. You react and you respond. Next you go to the middle. Once you're in the middle, you're facing the wall. There's no attack coming from the wall, but there is an attack coming from this side. So you break to the side, you react to the attack. Again, the wall can attack. You just respond to here. The only other place an attack can come from is from the center or from there. So you have to start teaching your eyes to cruise to the center point, so you always have a full view of everything that's going on. So as soon as you handle this person, your eyes go to the next place, on guard for anything that might happen, and then you see another attack coming. So you break to this side. That's half the form. Now you're going to go break back to the other direction from whence you came. Do the low block. Next attack comes in from the side. Other side. Block. This time you're going back on the leg of the H. Block. And then again, no attacks coming from here, so you scan the vulnerable area. You see an attack coming from there. Respond, go underneath it, block. And that's the 12th move, and that's the end. Now the way Master Broca combined these moves with the Takyoko set, the Takyoko set basically had a 12-count sequence in it, so it fit perfectly with the 12 blocks and the 12 counters, and it's a very nice fit. So it just made good sense to use it as a vehicle for these. Bring the camera a little bit closer if you will. Okay, again, elsewhere we talk about the form, and we have a few demonstrations of it. What I'm going to do is just go through it in detail, showing you how it combines all the things we just talked about into a coherent sequence. So you're here in a relaxed or ready position. You could be in a ready position like this, and you're focused. You know there's nothing coming from behind. Your attention is on the center. And why the center? Because if you're facing the center, you have peripheral vision that actually encompasses all the way to the walls. And that's something you have to master. You have to know where to place your center vision to maximize your peripheral awareness. So if I'm placing my center vision over here, if I'm careless, my peripheral awareness only goes to here, and I've got a blind spot here. So that message is forever in this form. After you complete every sequence, your eyes go to center and you recover. I should say your eyes sweep through center. And in sweeping through center, you're getting an awareness of everything that's happening on the field of play. Okay, so I'm here. My eyes are on center. And as I'm on center, I see an attack coming from the side. Now the attack's going to look something like this. This guy thinks he's sneaking up on me, and he's going to hit me from my blind side. The wall's here, of course, he's just adjacent to the wall. So I'm here. I see something coming in. I know this is clear. See something coming in. I step, and what I do is I mirror his energy. As he's coming in with his right hand, I'm circling away from his power, doing the block, blocking, capturing, and countering. 1, 2. Now in countering, we do 2 strikes throughout the form. The reason we do 2 strikes is we found in the early days that if people just responded with a single strike, that they started to get sloppy as they practiced the form multiple times. When you do it, the 2 strikes, almost always the first strike is a clean strike. So you're teaching people to get a good first clean strike by having them practice with the double strikes. And then the double strikes also builds up your joints so that you can do multiple hits. Okay, so there's the block and the hit. Now that's block number 1, and I relax just for a second. As soon as I'm done with this person, my eyes scan the center. There's no threats coming from center, but this is my blind side, and as soon as my eyes go to center, my peripheral vision picks up another attacker coming from this direction, from my blind side. Just freeze my image in your mind for a second. This attacker is coming like this. From my blind side, adjacent to the wall, he's trying to hit me in the back of my head. So I'm here. I step, mirror him, mirror his energy, capture. Trap, 1, 2, double counter. Okay, so I've taken the left and right side. Finish with this person. I already know that I neutralized the rear. The next open space is the center, so my eyes immediately go to center anyway, and as soon as my eyes go to center, I see an incoming strike to my pelvis. I break and block. I parry. And you see what I'm doing to augment the power of my counter strike here. I do a complete 180-degree reversal, typically in my movement. And then strike, 1, 2. And as I do that, on the second strike, my eyes revert to center, and I immediately see the next attack coming in here in the open spot. And I break, block, parry, hit. This was neutralized, this was neutralized. Last person coming from against the wall, coming straight forward into what he feels is a vulnerable target, straight up the middle. I block. And here I'm actually pressing him up against the wall by stepping in with my left leg. I'm forcing him forward. I block and counter. 1, 2. And you can actually see the counter has actually got him up against the wall. Typically, this is done with a ki. Okay? And you can see I'm doing a side in strike. You can also do a rotary or fan strike. Your choice. Most people, once they become relaxed with this, they'll do this counter. It just looks better. Okay. After that, you're facing the wall. Okay? You know you just came down the center. You neutralized everything that was at the center. The other side is far away from you. But you're at the wall. What you have to do is quick scan to center. And that's the center line. And as you do the quick scan to center, you have a quick snapshot of everything that's out there. There's an attack coming in from this side, and the attack is to your right cranium. And what you do is you step into the attack, thus avoiding anything from the rear, from your blind spot. You block, counter, and hit. And as soon as you've done that, you angle to the center, get a full view, and scan to your rear, which is where the current blind spot is, to pick up any possible attack that might be incoming. And sure enough, there is one. But this attack is taking this form. The attacker is coming up behind you with a number 7 strike. So it looks like this. So you're here, you just finished this person. Here's the attacker coming in. This kind of an angle on the strike. You go away from the power, 1, and you step into it, and you meet him coming in. Capture his arm, carry the arm, and count. Now the sides neutralize, you're going back to the center, you're halfway through the form. Here comes the low strike, and you're basically coming in with the joint strike at this angle, because you're positioned to attract that kind of a strike. Drop, back in, cover. And here, because it's a low strike, when you capture the stick, you're breaking his balance when you pull it down. So you pull it down and you counter. Open spot. Next attacker is coming in from that side, low strike, in here. You block, counter. Next attacker is coming in with the number 10 eye strike. As this goes back, he's following in right here to your right eye. You skateboard into it, glide over it, capture the stick, strike over it. As you're capturing the stick, you see my hand here. As soon as that relaxes, number 11 is coming in here. Skateboard into it, capture, 1, 2. You relax, scan to center. As soon as you scan to center, you see the final attack coming at you, which is the high strike from the rear, looking something like this. So you're here, you scan, and you see it just on your peripheral vision. You step into it and cover. See it? How I cover that? Capture the stick, butt end into the snuff box of his wrist. Drive him down, counter, 1, 2. And then the ending is 1, 2, 3. And the ending block can be any kind of block that you like to use. It's just our own stylized version of a formal conclusion. So there you have it. There's a lot more detail probably than you wanted to see. But I think it answers a lot of the questions that are presented in the other videos. I mean, part of the issue that we're dealing with is technology changes, the filming presentations have changed, the amount of video we can stick on the internet has increased. So now we can give these lengthy explanations, whereas 4 or 5 years ago, we were limited to 2 or 3 minutes. So we'll be revisiting some of our other videos to the same purpose. I hope you enjoyed this, and do with it what you will, and I'll see you further on down the line. Stay well and do well.